Hi, I'm Bunny. Let's make the best pizza at home. Pizza is my most useful recipe because you can customize it for even the pickiest eater. Make it for a casual dinner at home or a very fun dinner party. Make the best use of leftovers, but most of all, it's delicious and much healthier when you make it at home. So let's get started. First, the wet ingredients. You're going to need 200 grams of water. For active dry yeast, that should ideally be between 105 and 110 degrees Fahrenheit. But anything between 95 and 120 degrees should be fine, because anything below 95 degrees and your yeast really won't activate, and anything above 120 degrees, you're going to kill your yeast. So try to keep that in mind. If you don't have a thermometer, the easiest way of getting the right temperature is to use a little more than half of room temperature water. Hit the tare button to zero it out. So a little more than half of room temperature water. And the rest in boiling water. So you hit 200 grams. You scan that. It's 110 degrees, so perfect temperature. You need 2 grams of active dry yeast. Hit the tare button. And then 4 grams of extra virgin olive oil. Now stir to dissolve the yeast. And set aside while you get the dry ingredients together. I'm not the best at kneading, so I use a stand mixer with a dough hook attachment. Put the mixing bowl on your scale, hit the tare button to zero it out. You need 153 grams of all-purpose flour, preferably unbleached. And 153 grams of 00 flour. This is very finely milled flour. So 153 grams. And 4 grams of salt. I'm using fleur de sel. Hit the tare button to zero it out. Combine the ingredients by just mixing in the bowl and make a well in the center. Then you're going to pour your wet ingredients into the center of the well. And with this rubber spatula, get all of your wet ingredients, especially since you've carefully weighed all your ingredients. Put that on the mixer. You're trying to simulate hand kneading, so mix on very low speed for 3 to 5 minutes until the dough comes together. If you're impatient like me, I help it along by gently pushing the flour that's on the side into the middle of the bowl. And then mix on low again. Now once your dough has come together in a ball, let it rest for 15 minutes, just in the mixing bowl. After letting the dough rest for 15 minutes, mix again on low for 3 more minutes. After 3 minutes of mixing, your dough should look like this. All in one piece, a little sticky, but there should be no flour on the sides of your bowl. So a nice soft dough. Lightly oil 2 large bowls and then oil yourself a little bit. You don't want to add more flour. Now grab this dough. It's a little sticky, but it should all be in one piece. Now split this dough into 2 equal pieces and form into a ball by gently folding underneath like this. Once you have a ball, I lightly oil the top so it doesn't form a skin. Flip it over seam side down into the bowl. Same with the second ball of dough. Gently fold underneath to form a ball. Lightly oil the top and then seam side down into the bowl. Now you want to use large bowls because if you use a small bowl, it's not going to rise that well. Guess who made that mistake once? That would be me. You want to cover these bowls because you don't want a skin to form, either with plastic wrap or a kitchen towel. You want to set these bowls in a warm area of your kitchen for 3 to 4 hours for it to rise. If you're going to make this dough the night before, you can let it rise in the refrigerator for 8 hours to overnight. To prep the garlic for the garlic oil, you want to take a garlic clove with a sharp paring knife, cut the top of it, slice it in half lengthwise, and you want to remove this garlic shoot. You want to remove it because it doesn't taste very good, and secondly, it doesn't agree with some people. Now, I used to dread having to do this when I first started, but I found that if you just accept that you have to do it, you'll be at peace about doing it, and secondly, you'll do a better job. And garlic is so good for you that you should take this extra step so everyone can enjoy it. And just throw it in your saucepan. At home, I usually just make the garlic oil as our pizza sauce, but for dinner parties or special occasions, I like to do at least 2 different sauces. Turn your flame to medium high. You need 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. If you want to use the best San Marzano tomatoes, make sure they're DOP. You want to add salt and pepper. 4 cloves of garlic. Now that may seem like a lot, but the flavor is going to mellow once you cook it. So now you want to cook it until the oil separates from the sauce. That's how she describes it in her book. And then you can remove it after it's cooked. The easiest way to cut a bell pepper is first cut the bottom. When you have a flat surface, cut the sides. If you're grilling these peppers, grill them like this. Cut the bell pepper, skin side up. It's a little easier that way. You want to hold your knife, thumb and index finger on the top of the blade and wrap the 3 fingers around the handle. Use your other hand as a guide. Cup your fingers and use your knuckle as a guide for the blade of the knife as you go across whatever you're slicing. Now, slicing is not an up and down motion. It's actually slightly forward. So push forward on the knife. So using your hand as a guide, go forward with the knife. You'll find that slicing is much easier. And move your hand, which tells the knife where to go. Way forward with your knife. You can see the difference between the pieces are rather large versus if you cut it from top to bottom, the pieces are relatively about the same size, so they'll cook more evenly. And if you slice it this way, top to bottom, the flavor is milder than if you slice it radially this way. To prep mushrooms, I use a paring knife to get it going. Just the tip of the paring knife. And then peel the outer skin of the mushroom. I use 2 types of mushrooms. The ones grown in compost or manure, like these white button mushrooms, I do peel. The ones grown on logs, like shiitakes, I don't peel. So it's personal preference. And then cut the tips. One of my favorite toppings on pizza is artichoke hearts. Cut the artichoke hearts into 4 or 6 pieces, depending on the size. After you slice the artichoke hearts, squeeze out as much water as you can. To bake the pizzas, I've tried many different pizza stoves over the years, but what works best for me are these large skillets. They're made of cast iron, so they retain heat really well, so you'll get a nice crisp bottom on your pizza. Now when you're preheating your oven, make sure you preheat these skillets as well. You want these skillets nice and hot before you put your pizza dough on top of it. You want to cut the pizza dough in half. A little olive oil on your hands. And I just use a dinner plate, a 9-inch parchment. Grab one of the doughs and again form a ball, folding under. Place in the center and just press the dough out. Now, if the dough isn't spreading out easily, just let it rest for about 5 minutes. Don't pick a fight with dough. You're gonna lose. Dough wins every time. So if you like a crispy pizza, go out to about 8.5 inches. If you like a chewier, thicker pizza, go out to only about 8 inches. And then maybe we'll try a red sauce on this one. This is the marinara. This sauce is great because it's great for pastas as well, or baked pastas. Very versatile sauce. Then do a classic sausage. And onion. If you want to add a little bell pepper, maybe the red one would be nice on this. But I know how creative you all are, so go for it. Now the cheese, mozzarella. Be generous with the cheese. And a fresh grating of Parmigiano Reggiano. Little garlic oil around the edges. Make the crust really nice and crispy. And then I like garlic oil. So you can either use the garlic oil like this, or you can mash the garlic as well for a garlic paste. But what I like to do is just spread the garlic oil evenly over the pizza to scatter some of the golden garlic cloves on the pizza. My favorite is artichoke, so I'm going to add some artichokes. An onion. And a little green pepper. And some tomatoes. Kalamata olives. And then mozzarella cheese. You can make great use of leftovers if you make pizzas with it. So what I like to do, garlic oil goes really well with leftovers because it goes with almost anything. So spread the oil. I have some garlic chili shrimp from the other night. Add a little onion, a little bell pepper, tomato, just a little more, and maybe some red bell peppers. Now you can also sprinkle a little fleur de sel and fresh grinding of pepper. Then add your mozzarella. So whatever you have left over in the refrigerator, it's great to put it on top of pizza. And you're done. Now, one of our favorite pizzas, using leftover Thai chicken and cashews. And some onion. Artichoke, and little bell peppers. Parchment on the cast iron pan. Use a big spatula and just put it back on your dinner plate. The next two pizzas. Look at that bottom crust. Is that gorgeous?
some herbs of your choice, salt and pepper, little squirt of lemon, and a little olive oil, and just toss. And top your pizza.
Everyone in my family is a better cook than I am. So my approach is to find the very best ingredients I can. So basically, I don't have to do too much to it. Now I have found that if you have these 3 key ingredients, you can cook almost anything. First, the olive oil. It's a good fat, and there are many good brands out there. But if you can find one like this that's extra virgin, has a grass green color, like this, and has a very, very slight bitter taste. It has almost 10% of the effect of acetaminophen. So it's not only providing great flavor, but is good for you as well. Salt. I only use fleur de sel in my cooking. I use kosher salt when I bake, but fleur de sel for everything else. I like this brand because it has the most minerals. I use both their sea salt and their gray sea salt. There's a Korean sea salt that has more minerals than this, but it's not available here. So I've used this brand for years and I love it. When you're using pepper in your cooking, always try to do a fresh grinding with whole peppercorns. You'll get the most flavor that way. And this is my current favorite. So I think this approach has worked because people actually think I can cook.